welcome to my Halloween franchise tier list. My first ever tier list ever, actually. I just got done reviewing Halloween Ends, link to that will be in the description. I've kept the categories basic with the S, A, B, C, D. Remember, this is my list, my opinions. They're going to be different to yours. Just be respectful in the comments and go easy on the dislike button, please. So, yeah. Halloween 1978. If you see my full review of the original Halloween, you won't be surprised to find out that I'm not as big of a fan of this one as most people. I think it was probably one of the best horror movies when it came out, but as of currently, it's average at best. Story is basic, the characters' personalities are dead. Michael is scary though, and the way he's filmed and acted is masterful. But when compared to only the other Halloween movies, it's about an A tier. Halloween 2. I actually can't decide whether I like this movie more than the original or not. I like them about the same, but for different reasons. While Michael isn't quite as ghost-like in this one, he's a tad more brutal. And it feels more like a generic slasher movie, which I'm completely okay with. I'm going to put it in the A tier with the original, but they're neck and neck. Actually, I'm going to put it in front of the original. If I was stuck on an island and I could only have one of them, I'd choose Halloween 2, so it's going in front. It's way more rewatchable to me because there's a lot more going on. Halloween 78 is the better made movie, but I personally would rather watch Halloween 2, and this is my list. So it's going in front of Halloween. Also, that scene with the bleeding eyes has definitely helped it.
Michael, stop!
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. As just a movie by itself, it's an S tier for sure. But this is a Halloween ranking and I'd prefer my Halloween movies to have Michael Myers in them, so I'm going to put it in the B tier. If it was a ranking of movies to watch around Halloween time, it would definitely be S tier. It's a great movie by itself, very original and creative. Hopefully we can get more Halloween anthology films now the franchise has ended. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, B tier. The film brings back the ghost-type feeling of Halloween 78, but with a bit more flair, and I was all for it. The movie really surprised me because from the footage I saw before seeing it, it looked cheap, and that god-awful mask didn't help. But yeah, I definitely found a lot of enjoyment in this one. I like how Michael Myers does different things to weaken the town, like going after the power and the police and stuff. The ending teased what could have been, well, it was a great twist, but that twist was teasing what could have been a very, very unique Halloween 5. But Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, instant D tier. I don't know why there's only, to be fair, I'm gonna make 2 more rows, because D tier just is not low enough. E, F. So let's reevaluate that. Instant F tier. This is my least favourite Halloween movie, and close to even being my least favourite horror movie. The only one I can think of that I dislike more off the top of my head is Jeepers Creepers 3. The biggest failure of this movie is that it's just fucking boring. I don't remember a thing about it other than I don't like it. The character of Tina is painful to watch. I fell asleep twice during my first watch, and they went back on what could have saved this film and pretended the Jamie Lloyd twist from Halloween 4 never happened. That's what I remember from this film. Awful movie, and don't even get me started on the mask. Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. I'd say D tier. This one's a bit of a mixed bag. It's kind of like if Halloween 5 had at least been entertaining. Most of the characters are awful, Paul Rudd especially. The story is kind of dumb and in my opinion ruins Michael's mystique, and makes him just a bitch for someone else. But the kills are pretty decent. The mask is definitely an improvement. Probably the best since the original at that point. I'd be down for a remake of this because it was just so close to being at least a good Halloween movie, but sadly it's below average. Halloween H2O. Halloween H2O is another kind of mixed bag for me, but it's definitely better than Curse. I'd put it in B tier. It's not as good as Halloween 2 or the original. It wasn't far off, but it's definitely let itself down on some things. Laurie is great in this, one of her best performances in the franchise for sure. She's kind of in the same place in this one that she's in the Blumhouse trilogy, but on the complete other side of the spectrum. In the Blumhouse trilogy, she's paranoid and defensive. She's turned her house into something you'd see in Saw or something. Whereas in H2O, while she's not completely over everything that happened 20 years before, she's trying and is managing to live her life good enough. Michael is decent in this, definitely not up there with James Jude Courtney or Nick Castle, but definitely not as bad as Halloween 5's Michael. Although at least Halloween 5's mask still hides his eyes, where in this one you can probably see them clearer than ever before. And I hate when you can see his eyes in the mask, it takes a lot away from him feeling like a creature instead of a human. The pacing is good and it was one of the better endings in a Halloween film. But I just don't see myself being drawn back to it as much as I am to the movies that are higher on this list. Halloween Resurrection. I'm gonna put this one in the E tier. Horrible movie. Disrespectful as fuck to the character of Laurie Strode. Cheesy as fuck. This is like the first Halloween movie where they tried to have technology in the plot somehow with the cameras because technology was on the rise around that time. Busta Rhymes just cemented the awful dialogue and disrespect this movie showed towards Michael Myers. And this film also suffers from the eye problem with the mask that H2O had. However, all that aside, it's a pretty entertaining early 2000s slasher if you go into it expecting that. It's certainly not boring, which puts it over Halloween 5 by a long shot. Rob Zombie's Halloween. This was the first Halloween movie I ever saw, and I've always liked it more than most people, but get this. I actually really liked the first act when it's Michael as a child. I always found it really entertaining and found the last act to be the more boring section. But that was before I watched any other Halloween movie. After watching the others, I still found I really enjoyed the movie and the first act, but I also warmed up to the last act quite a bit, having a better understanding of who Michael Myers is. I get that everyone hates the first act of this movie because it ruins the fact that Michael is supposed to be pure evil and there was no motive for why he kills, and this movie gives him one. But this isn't Halloween. This is Rob Zombie's Halloween. I'm glad this film is so different in terms of explaining Michael more. It made for a more exciting film and a breath of fresh air for a franchise that's mostly just rinse and repeat. If Michael being a killer because of his awful childhood is such a problem for you, you could always try and look at it differently, like he was always pure evil and was going to do what he did whether he was bullied or not. It just so happens that he was bullied. It's an A-tier movie for me. Better than Halloween 2, but not as good as 78. I need to rearrange these. I just realised that these aren't actually in the right order. I'm gonna put them in order in the tiers so you can see. So like Halloween 4, 3 and H2O are all B tier, but I'm gonna put them in order so you know which ones I prefer to the other. So Halloween 3 there. Don't forget in terms of a Halloween film, not in general. So Halloween 3 there, and I'd probably put H2O above Halloween 4. Halloween 2, yeah, Rob Zombie's original. Yep, that's good. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. This is probably the one I remember the least about, which isn't a good start for it. I remember it being a pretty wacky but pretty entertaining movie despite some pretty bad shit. That's rude. Yeah, I remember it being a pretty entertaining film despite some pretty bad shit. Like Michael talking if you watch the director's cut, the White Horse stuff, and Loomis is pretty terrible in this. If you've seen my recent reviews of the new trilogy, you'll know I like a brutal Myers, and the Michael you get in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is definitely that. I'll put it in C tier to be safe, and the hospital sequence is cool as fuck, even if it was just a dream. Halloween 2018. Again, if you've seen my recent Halloween trilogy reviews, you'll know exactly where this is going. S tier. This is my favourite movie of the franchise. Best movie, best mask, best Myers portrayal. Plot-wise, it's just Halloween 1978, but with a way more brutal and intimidating Myers. And even with that, he still keeps the ghost-like feeling of not being human, and the eyes are pitch black like they should be. Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills are fighting very close for the film with the best kills, but I probably would have to go with Kills. I love the Dr. Sartain twist. I know that most people don't. I do. You don't get many plot twists in simple slasher movies, so that was nice. Laurie is great as like a Sarah Connor type figure that wants revenge on Myers and to rid him of the world. She's fortified her house ready for him and ends up getting the better of him. If this was the final film in the franchise, it would have been perfect. The final fight is much better than the one in Halloween Ends. The Ends fight is pretty good, but I prefer this one. I think if they did Halloween 2018 and Kills the same way they did, but add the last 15 minutes of Halloween Ends to the end of Kills, that would have been the perfect ending for this timeline. Halloween Kills is almost exactly what I wanted as a sequel to Halloween 2018. More of that brutal Myers that became my favourite in 2018, but with the loss of tension and likeable characters. Kills is exactly what the title says. An hour and 45 minutes of Michael slaughtering people in cool and creative ways without much of a story, but it's still one of the most entertaining Halloween films we've gotten. I put it in A tier. It also has a kill that went into my top 3 Michael Myers kills of all time. amount of Halloween 2 and Rob Zombie's Halloween. Gotcha. And here we are. Halloween Ends. Halloween Ends was a heartbreaking experience. After being so in love with this new trilogy, I was not expecting this at all. Halloween 2018 was amazing, and Kills was great, even if it took a slight quality dip. I saw Ends a bit late, so I got to see all the negative reviews before I was able to go see it, and I was just hoping that even if everyone else hated it, that I wouldn't. Because everyone disliked Halloween Kills when that came out, and I ended up really enjoying that, so I was hoping for a repeat. I was wrong. Halloween Ends is not a story about Michael Myers. Halloween Ends is a story about new character Corey Cunningham being possessed once he's looked into the eyes of evil, and then 80% of the movie is about him killing people before he's finally killed, and then Michael and Laurie have their fight. You know, the thing we've been waiting for the entire film is in the last 15 minutes. It feels like a movie that was made with the sole purpose of disrespecting Michael Myers. Having a kid beat the shit out of him needing his help killing people, and him barely being in the film and having a grand total of 3 kills in what could possibly be his last ever appearance in a movie. It had some solid ideas. The whole Corey being possessed would have been great for an anthology film. Laurie was the best she's ever been, and the opening scene made me feel a way I've not felt since the time I saw Pennywise bite Georgie's arm off in 2017. It's just such a shame it had to end this way. I'm sure the original script they had before they introduced the 4-year time gap was probably a lot better, but it's not what we got. And what we got is D tier, sadly. And yes, D tier behind Halloween 6. And that's my list. Agree or disagree, doesn't really matter to me. Just be respectful in the comments, please. Leave your rankings in the comments and check out my full reviews for John Carpenter's Halloween, Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends on my channel. The links will also be in the description. And don't forget to subscribe if you're a Halloween fan, because there's plenty more Halloween franchise videos coming up. See ya. Door's locked. Hold my breath when it comes in. It doesn't seem to be doing much.